Today we're going to talk about miracles. The mystery of faith. Let's reflect.
Sunum bonum, peace be with you.
Matthew 17:20. For truly I say to you, if you have faith as a grain of a mustard seed, you will say to this mountain, move from here to there, and it will move, and nothing will be impossible to you. You know, I was really a skeptic, and I didn't really believe in miracles. I had trouble even thinking about, in the Old Testament that they actually hear God speaking to them. And I was really, like Moses, I was really a skeptic. And I thought this was like a beautiful saying, like for your career. Like, you know what, if you have a goal in your career and you dream for your career, you can go after it. And then, like I said, you're going to hear it in other episodes. I had my bird with cancer. I prayed through Padre Pio's intercession and my bird was healed. It opened my eyes up and I kind of said, wait a minute. Maybe Christ is right when he says that. If you actually have faith, you can move mountains.
Right.
Now, probably I wanted to bring this quote into it. St. Augustine said, if you understand, then that is not God. We sang in the beginning the mystery of faith.
Right.
But think about that. The mystery of faith. Like,
yeah. We're not supposed to understand it.
You're never going to understand it. And, what Bishop Barron talks a lot about, the incense with the smoke coming up.
Right.
Like it's the spirit, it's the mystery of its smoke.
You can't grasp smoke. Yeah, it's fleeting.
And I guess let's talk about some miracles. So with Moses.
Really famous ones, yeah.
The sea parting. Now, there's two options. Either the sea literally parted.
Right.
Or he was a war general, which is a fact, and he found when the sea was going to be at low tide, and he timed it right as a general to move his people through, and then when the Egyptians, what was the Egyptian king?
Pharaoh.
The Pharaoh, when he was moving in with his men, the high tide came in and they couldn't. Either or is a miracle. I mean, I would still call that a miracle, the luck of getting low tide, high tide, whichever you take. Like I said, with Padre Pio had the stigmata, that means he had the wounds of Christ in his hands, his ribs, and his feet. Now you're probably going, well, he did it to himself. Well, the wounds never got infected.
And also
all 12 doctors studied it and never got infected, and then
when he passed away,
completely healed with no scar tissue. Scientists can't even, because again, if he was doing it to himself, it would heal, and you would see the
scarring. Yeah.
I mean, this is fact. You know what I'm saying? St. Colby. So there was a guy named Takashi Nagai. He was in Nagasaki. He converted to Catholicism. St. Colby was there several years before World War II started. St. Colby was a priest at the time. Colby leaves. He goes back to Europe. Takashi Nagai, obviously being in Nagasaki, the bomb hits. Now, Takashi Nagai was a scientist, so he had leukemia, and he was dying of leukemia before the bomb dropped. But when the bomb drops, Takashi Nagai gets atomic A bomb poisoning, radiation poisoning. And he's basically on his deathbed. And he has this dream that the priest, St. Colby, came to him and said, pray through my intercession, you'll be healed. And it is a fact, scientifically, Takashi Nagai healed from the atomic A bomb poisoning. Little did he know that St. Colby, a year before that, was in a concentration camp. He was in, I don't know if it was Auschwitz. Was it Auschwitz?
It was Auschwitz, yeah.
And a lot of people don't know this, but the Nazis were putting priests in concentration camps. The Nazis hated Catholicism. And there was this married man, and the Germans were going to gas him, and St. Colby stepped in and said, I'm a priest, this is a married man, I will take him in his place.
Yep.
St. Colby was starved for 10 days and then gassed. Takashi Nagai never knew that Colby's been killed before this. You know, that's another amazing miracle. And one more thing, Tom, before I let you rip.
Sure.
I've even experienced priests that don't believe in miracles. I'm not going to name the priest, I'm not going to name the church, but when my bird was healed with cancer, the priest said to me, "Oh, well, you know, little miracles." The reason I converted to Catholicism is because I saw something that I've never seen before. I couldn't even explain it. You know, and it almost has made me a mystic, which I'm telling our viewers that, like, actually if you pray, and if it's God's will, that mountain can be moved, you know. So anyway, go ahead, Tom.
Yeah.
You wanted to talk about the canonization?
Oh, the Eucharistic miracle?
Oh, go ahead. No, go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, all good points that Ray made, and what I was thinking when you were talking is, I think it's naturally okay to be skeptical of miracles. That's really the idea of what makes them miracles, is because they're inexplicable sometimes, and they're weird occurrences that we can't explain through natural understanding or science. But I mean, there's certain cases though, such as the Eucharistic miracles, which is what I was going to get into, where so for those of you that don't know, when in Catholicism, when we take the Eucharist, the priest blesses the host, right, which is the bread, and there have been certain, and this is all well documented within the church, that the host...
And if you look this up, you will find it.
Yeah, the host actually starts to turn red, blood starts to appear on it, and even to the point where there's cardiac tissue on it. So cardiac tissue is just a scientific word for heart tissue, which is pretty symbolic because we talk about the Sacred Heart of Jesus, we talk about, even scientifically, when Jesus was crucified and the Roman soldier pierced his side, water and blood came out because his heart was filled with cardiac fluid, right? So the fact that it was specifically cardiac tissue, and this is scientifically analyzed too, because another thing to remember is the Catholic Church doesn't just take miracles for face value, saying, "Oh, that's cool, that happened."
Years of research.
Another check mark in the miracle book. No. They're actually skeptical at first, and then they'll start to do their research and say, "Okay, can we verify this? Can we ensure that it actually is a miracle?" Because they're not just going to take everything for face value. See, that's what I'm saying, where it's okay to naturally be skeptical or saying, "Oh, there's a scientific explanation for that or for this miracle." So that's, I think that's pretty special, you know, to think that even to this day, like, there's still these modern day miracles in the Eucharist itself. And again, this is something that you could read on. This is something that you could research. It's well documented.
Because the Catholics and the Orthodox actually believe that the communion is Christ.
The body
At least if let's speak as a Catholic, we believe it's literally...
It transubstantiates...
Is his flesh. And for 1,500 years, every Christian believed that. And if you look at the history, we do, as Catholics, have the history on our side where, you know, if you are a Protestant or non-dominational, like wherever you're at in your journey, I do suggest look at the history of, you know, the early church, because the early church did believe in the Eucharist and did believe it was actually the flesh of Christ. I want to bring up to you the Shroud of Turin.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Throw it at him.
Yeah, so the Shroud of Turin, for those of you that don't know, it's what is believed to be the real burial cloth of Jesus Christ. So it's a shroud that's in Turin, in that area of the world, hence the name. And it has a depiction of what looks to be a crucified man laying like
Jewish
man, yeah, with the beard and hair and everything. And it's photo negative. So basically what that means is, in order to view the picture properly, you have to invert the colors of the photo, and when that happens, you can see a very clear outline of the man and what looks to be Jesus. And there's even slight blood stains on it, and they did analysis on it, and the blood stains are actually AB.
And just hold on before I go.
Go ahead.
The original analysis, if some people are looking on the internet, they tested the outskirts of the robe,
right,
which dated to the medieval times.
Yeah.
And then when they did recent tests, they got closer to the robe, which actually dates to the time period of Jesus. And go ahead with the...
because they initially thought it was a medieval forgery, right? In that
just
time
to
period.
Be clear with them with the new science that came out.
Exactly, yeah. So, and what they concluded was that there was no real way to make that sort of a forgery on that cloth, because what they're seeing is that the imprint on it is actually going deep into the fabric. Because if it was a forgery, like a painting or some sort of other method that someone would use to forgify in the medieval era, it wouldn't go as deep, but they did fiber analysis and it went deep into the fiber. And again, this is something that you could research and look into further, but there's no good scientific explanational way to determine how that happened, other than the fact that what we theorize as Christians is when Jesus resurrected, there's a great bright light that imprinted that image of him on the
which is interesting
shroud.
With him,
Yeah.
resurrecting.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And for you, anybody watching that's still struggling, we're gonna reenact Jonathan Rumi. So there was, during Lent,
Yes.
there is a father and his son is possessed by the devil. And he says to Christ, Lord, I believe, help my unbelief. And that's something that a lot of us Catholics hold to, because we still struggle.
Very simple prayer too. It's like,
we're dealing with miracles. So should we reenact it?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, let's look at the camera. Here we go. Lord, I believe, help my unbelief.